Greetings, YouTube. I am still processing how reckless I was with units and with 6-star shards, all for very little to show for it in the end. So I stayed up on my last night before Kansas City. I have no idea when this is going to hit my channel, but at least I'll have some content to drop. Because I wanted to complete... I've already explored Thronebreaker, so Cavalier feels like, piece of cake compared to Thronebreaker, which, to be fair, was pretty manageable for the most part as well. But I wanted to get some 6-star shards back, even though in this case it's only 2,600. So, yay. That'll get me very close to back to 100,000. In fact, I think the first thing I want to do, just to get my own frail sanity in lockstep with, by the way, I'm really worried about the server. It's run so slow since 7 stars came in, and I'm worried about this experiment that we're about to do. But let's just, for the sake of sanity, hey, there's some units too. I wanted to do that so that I could get the 25 free units for right now for Paragon players. It's event quest completion. I've learned that we are not all in the same 22-hour event, which is shocking to me because I just assumed for many years that was the case, and I was wrong. But I want to get 100,000 6-star shards by the time. So we're just gonna pop. Let's just start with 2. Max Sig. Hey, Hit Monkey and Hercules. Are you kidding me? So that by itself is 100,000. And then you pop open the Max Sig crystals, and suddenly you've got even more. Alright, that makes me feel a little better. I have saved 6 months worth of regular arena crystals, and my goal is to get back. I'm going to open as many of these as I can to get back to 60,000 units. I was at like 66,000 units, but I'm just going to batch open these until, and I don't care how long it takes, until I get to 60,000. And that might be reckless. That was a good chunk of units. And then, of course, you get nothing after that. Now, you might be asking, Prof, why are you... Well, that was terrible. Why are you opening regular arena crystals? Why not go for something a little bit more risky? Because these are the safest. Because when it comes to guaranteed value, you're guaranteed some amount of units. It may be bad. Like, the goal is 1,000 for every 250, and right now I am behind that pace with 70 to go. Like, my goal is to get to 1,000 units in the next 50 crystals, and it looks like that's not going to happen. It looks like, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to come close to that. I am 310 units short in that first batch of 250. Now, I got 1.256 million gold, so if you care about gold, I guess that's a exciting thing. But, the goal is to, on a decent opening, I guess I should say a good opening, to have 1,000 units for every 250 of these you open, and then 2,000 units for every 500 that you open. Which I highly doubt that's going to happen, especially because quite a few of these... See how I'm opening 0 units in like batches of these 10? We'll just multiply that by that many more arena crystals, and that's why the RNG is so up and down. It's like the same drop rates for Thronebreakers as it is, or for Thronebreaker arena crystals, as it is like the OG arena crystals. But like now, I basically had the same bad drop rates twice. I am now like about 500 units behind. So again, we're just going to keep opening until I get to 60,000 units. And this is what I'm trying to tell myself is going to make myself feel better. I wish I could just skip ahead of these Punishers, but this is going to make me feel better about just nuking my entire stash for very little to show for it. I mean, I suppose I got 2 of the pretty decent 7-star champs, but, it's still like, when you don't plan on spending thousands and thousands and thousands of units, like 10 to 15,000 units, and all of a sudden you've done it and you don't have a lot to show for it. Because if you're going to spend them on like July 4th weekend, yeah, you're going to have so much to show for it, even if your crystal luck is bad. But in this case, not so much. Not so much at all. So remember, my goal by 750 was to get to 3,000 units. Not even close. Not even close. So I don't really know what to say other than the fact that it is what it is. The drop rates are not great right now. We're testing them. Like, these are among some of the worst unit drop rates that I've seen for these crystals. And some of you have told me that you believe that that's been the case for a while, but I haven't done the experiment needed to test it until now. Now, I do think this might be one of the better batches of 250 we've opened, but my goal was 4,000 units by the time we got to 1,000. And there's our first energy refill, if you can believe that, which technically is like 30 units. I kind of... All right, so that last batch was actually kind of better, but still we're 430 units short. We're still looking for about 2,500 more units before we stop this experiment. And this is so many months of hoarding, from hoarding, obviously, arena crystals, but especially hoarding thousands of dollars in purchases worth of units, including, I think with tax, I spent about $1,000 on spring cleaning weekend. And so this is reference. This is another terrible batch of 70 to start out, though. It's like I've hit a brick wall with units. We're not even to 4,000 yet. But again, it takes you what it takes you. I hate that there's finally 4,000. We got 2 energy refills too, so whoop-de-doo, I guess. And we're less than 2,000 units short of our goal of 60,000. And who knows how long it'll take for us to get there. But we've got over 6 million gold. And for those of you that love seeing gold, but this is probably the worst arena. That's so few units for all these that I'm popping. So few. Wow. This is probably the worst arena opening I've had in the last 5 years. Like, this is... If I break down just the math, this is really bad. Like, really, really, really bad. But you just got to keep persevering. Because, like I said, your only option is to keep opening. Which is a bad motto for this game in general. The only option is to keep opening. I can just imagine saying that. Well, that was a good batch of 10. Will we get to 5,000 here? We do barely. It's crazy how few energy refills, and that was 0 for 20. 0 for 30. That was almost 0 for 40. My goodness, but we're less than 1,000. Just look at the top right corner until we get to 60,000. That's the only number that I care about right now, and I'm just staring at that. And once we get to 60,000, I'll stop. But this experiment so far has been with really good data. Not great luck on my part, though. Like, this is... I would have expected to be done opening crystals by now. Like, hundreds of crystals ago. And I'm just not. I'm not saying you should feel bad for me. I mean, I've done this to myself. But it's just... It's weird. Even the Punisher drop rates seem to be lower now. Come on, where's the 6? Okay, there's another... No 4-star Punisher, too. That says a lot. We've been stuck under 6,000. Like, this is literally thousands of units short of what I'm used to. Okay, so one more batch of 10 will get us over it. We're 3 units away. Maybe 3 units in that batch of 10. I just popped them. I believe that did it. I think we gained 15 units. No? We're going to have to... Okay, there we go. Maybe that'll do it. It hasn't added the units to my stash. Okay, we'll open 10 more and see if that does it. Okay, there you go. And then it added them. That's weird. 1,810 arena crystals. At this moment, like if somebody was to ask me how many units I think this should be, probably between 7,000 and 8,000 for a somewhat average opening. We barely got over 6,000 units. That is really bad. Like, really, really bad. But at least with the expedited opening system, I was able to open these faster than it would have been before. This would have been like a 30-minute video. Now, it's still longer than I want it to be. It's still longer than 10 minutes, but at least the data's there. All right. My quest for 60,000 units is back for the moment. I don't even feel good about this, but it is what it is. It took me all this, YouTube. Yuck. Just yuck.